Well, it's almost exactly a year later, and I finally got back to this traffic light controller, and I completed it this weekend, other than putting it in an enclosure. But this is basically what I ended up with. I did decide to heat sink the Triacs, although they all run dead cold, but I thought it'd be a good idea too anyways. These Triacs are rated for 600 volts and 15 amps, so they're way over spec for what I'm doing here, but I like to overspec things. I'm not building to a price point like a company is. I'm building something that I hope will last, and just kind of give you a little bit of an idea of the construction on this. I mounted the power supply board on a set of standoffs. I mounted that on the circuit board, and I don't know if you can see in there, but inside there are the let's see if I can point them out there without getting electrocuted. I got this fired up now. There's the photo Triacs that are triggering the Triacs, and then back inside there are the two 555 timers, and then the two capacitors and the resistors that are that set up the timing for the traffic light. And over here, if you can see underneath there, I've got the little filter circuit that I developed to tame the ripple on this switching regulator. Let's see if we can get a little bit better view back inside there. I've left these leads a little bit long for the moment because I like to make these unpluggable, because I like to be able to remove this. And back here where the 110 volts feeds the transformer, it's a simple matter of taking two screws out. But I don't want to have to unsolder this every single time if I decide to take this off, if I want to work down inside there. So I've left these leads long for the moment, kind of looped around in there, and I'm gonna come up with some sort of a connector where I can just snap it on and off, and then just pull this whole works off of here. Then let's see here, I've got individual fuses with little fuse covers for each one of the bulbs. These are actually set up to where they're to the actual input of the Triac. I can't remember what I think I sized them. I didn't have exactly the size I wanted. I think I sized them for 1.5 amps, and they're fast blow fuses. The idea behind that is if one of the light bulbs happens to fail, you'll have usually a really high current surge, and I would rather them take the fuse out rather than the Triac. The Triacs aren't that expensive, but the fuses are simple to just pop in and out, whereas the Triac, it's a little bit tougher to do that. I've got this set up here. Of course, this isn't the traffic light I'm going to put it in. I'm still just using my little light bar here. But I've got this set up where this actually will unplug off of here. So that'll make that a little easier. I'm trying to make this to where, for some reason, I need to do any work on it, it's easy to get apart. So I've got this little enclosure here. I've got these 4 standoffs I'll mount somewhere in here, and then bolt that board down onto that, and then it's nice and sealed. I'll have to, the bolts that come up through where each one of these standoffs are, I'll have to seal that with silicone or something, because this may end up being outside. But yeah, I finally got back to this. Actually, I got back to a little bit last weekend, and then this is actually Christmas Eve 2015. I decided to finish it up, and basically just never got back to it because the guy took so long to get the traffic light to me, I kind of lost a little bit of interest, and by the time he did get it back to me, well, I moved on to other things. I was working for a while on a Janome embroidery machine for a guy. I had a whole bunch of test equipment that I was refurbishing over the summer. Some of it I sold on eBay. Some of it's on my bench right here. Some of it I still haven't got to yet. So just one of those deals that basically I haven't touched this probably since, I don't know, January of last year. So anyways, I just thought I'd show this to you. I'll shut the camera off here, and well, I thought I'd pull the power supply off this so you get a little bit closer view of the actual timing and control of this. These are the two timing capacitors, and in conjunction with those two resistors, we've got the two 555s, and there's a three opto triacs, I guess. There's my little filter circuit. If you look at my video from doggone near a year ago, you'll see how I come up with that for the switching supply. I've got the little gate resistors there, and then of course the triacs and the whole works that you saw before. I just thought I'd take that off so you could get a closer idea of how it's set up. I use these sockets. I usually try to socket any of the ICs that I'm building a project for. I usually try to use the good quality ones so you don't run into problems later on. And you got to be careful with these because of course those are 8-pin and the opto triacs are 6-pin. So got to make sure you plug it in the right spot, and you got to make sure as you're flipping this circuit board upside down, you're not using, say, this one for number 1 instead of that one for number 1. So, and these are the series resistors for the LED and the opto triac. I'm driving them, I can't remember how many milliamps I'm driving them, but it's well within the spec, about the middle of the range for that LED, for the opto triac. So that should trigger consistently and also give it long life. Anyway, just thought I'd show that. Well, here it is, more or less complete. Got a little fuse holder in there. There's my 110 volt power in, and I've got this mounted on some short standoffs inside there. Everything's wired up. The only thing that isn't complete is obviously the wiring has to run through here into this plug, and then from there out to the actual traffic light itself. But other than that, everything's mounted up. One thing I do want to do though, I didn't have any bolts that were, or screws that were nylon that took a countersunk head. I need to get some of those. I'd rather have nylon screws rather than steel ones in there, but that'll hold everything in for now. What I'm going to do, I countersunk this, and then I'll put some RTV in this hole, put the bolt down through it, and then RTV over the hole to seal out any moisture. So yeah, it's pretty much taken care of, pretty much finished. So now basically what I need to do is maybe draw up a schematic of this if somebody else wants to build one. I don't know if anybody does or not, but anyways, this project's pretty much finished now. So I put the little gasket in the cover and bolt it all together and set it aside for now until I get the traffic light. And that's about all I've got, I guess.